if Bhagavan means for it to continue in any way, shape or form, it will. And if the yajna is any evidence, it looks like it was raring to go. So that's what we will do, So for 1 month, let's see what all happens. And maybe a lot of things will happen, or maybe nothing will happen, which is also a good thing, because that's what we want. Certain flights to be uneventful. So the flight to moksha also has to be uneventful. That is my feeling. So maybe nothing will happen, or maybe a lot of things will happen and we don't know they are happening, right? So the possibilities, in other words, are endless. So what we will do is, in the morning, we will have a bhashya study in the morning. And morning is the best time for that, really. And then this time at 4 o'clock we will have Bhagavad Gita, and then we will, like I said, let a few days go by. Let's see if we survive this, and then we'll see what to do about Sanskrit. Okay? Yeah. Meanwhile, you take that course that she is offering, and in the evening, I have asked Janani to take Tattva Bodha for you, because it's a very beautiful text, and it's a must to study, because there are a number of things that we take for granted. We take Brahman for granted. We take Maya for granted. We should not take avidya for granted, but we take it for granted. So, the definitions of these things we feel like everybody knows. But really speaking, it's good to study from the beginning, because these are the definitions that are analyzed in the form of simple question and answers. So the Sanskrit is not a stretch there, and you can learn Sanskrit also through Tattva Bodha, because very simple, Titiksha ka, and from that ka, Titiksha is a girl, correct? It's not a boy. Shamaha kaha, and Shama is a boy, correct? Yeah. Mumukshutvam kim, then mumukshutvam is neither boy nor girl. It comes under neuter, correct? And then so these question answers are very attractive form of learning, because they help understand things properly. So that's what will happen in the evening. And now we will do Bhagavad Gita. Maybe, how many classes a week? A lot. Every day except Monday. 6 classes a week. That's quite good. And so, and so what we'll do is, we'll see how far we get. I will take it, I have the sankalpa to take it verse by verse, and then we'll see how that goes. And sometimes where it is important, I will read the bhashya and explain. Otherwise, I will summarize the bhashya and give it, so we will keep it loosey-goosey. Okay? Yeah. But even if I'm not reading the bhashya, rest assured that what you are getting is the bhashya. Okay? Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Since this is the first class, we'll chant the Dhyana Shloka. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः स्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ It's very auspicious to study Bhagavad Gita today because today was the day Mahabharata was composed. Yeah, today was the day Ganesha broke off his task to take dictation because Vyasa was having to think faster than he could write. So he said, Ganesha, come. Ganesha normally doesn't come to anyone. This is Vyasa calling. Ganesha cannot say, I'm going to take a message and I'll get back to you later. Ganesha immediately obliged by saying, here I am, what is it you need? Take down the dictation. And it's very interesting because it's all about 18 the number 18. Mahabharata has 18 chapters, and the meter also has 18 verses, syllables. And it's very interesting because the resonance of the meter and the number 18 is Jaya. The meter is called Jaya. Jaya means victory. Yeah. And what a day to start. And of course it was victorious because it was completed. Of course it was victorious also in the sense that the good prevailed over the not so good, both within and without. And of course it was victorious because more than the work getting completed, it is available to us now. That is perhaps its greatest victory. That is the Bhagavad Gita's greatest victory. That it is this Ashtadashadhyayini, this she of the 18-limbed goddess in the form of the Bhagavad Gita, is actually available for us to study just as it was. Just as this Upadesha. Bhagavad Gita means Upadesha. Upadesha means teaching. That's all it is. It's teaching. Just as this teaching was available for Arjuna, so many, 5,000, after that we stopped counting, 5,000 plus years ago it was available. So too it is available today for all the Jignasus, for all the Mumukshus who are in Arjuna's condition. What do you mean by saying who are in Arjuna's condition? Who is not in Arjuna's condition? Huh? Who is not in Arjuna's condition? Who doesn't have doubt? Check. Who doesn't have despair? Check. Who doesn't have sorrow? Check. These are all universal things we are talking about. We're talking about a state of mind that has a collective abidance and has a timeless abidance in the Anatma. That is what it seems to be. Where should the mind abide? In Atma. But where is it abiding? In Anatma. Why? Because of ignorance. Really, that is all this is. And so this is an auspicious day to study. In a way, it's a revisitation, It's a whole revisitation. And I think that's why Lord Ganesha emerged. Perhaps that's why, I don't know, in the yajna today. And he left an indelible imprint on the door of the shrine. And the whole thing with Ganesha writing the Mahabharata, and also of course because the Bhagavad Gita is situated inside the Mahabharata, he wrote the Bhagavad Gita too, he was the scribe, means that there are no obstacles. That's all it means. That there are never any obstacles. For what? For this study. For the knowledge to go from lineage, to pass down through the people in the lineage, there are no obstacles. For the knowledge to be talked about endlessly, there are no obstacles. For the knowledge to be received, even though we feel there are obstacles, really because they are mithya, there are no obstacles that cannot be dissipated without, with Lord Ganesha's blessings. With recourse to his blessings, really, what obstacles are there? When we enshrine the obstacles instead of Ganesha, they become real. Any problems, any fears, any resistance, anything becomes a huge thing when the non-existent is shrined and worshipped in place of the existent one. And you see, how does one enshrine and worship the non-existent? Because each time I give the time of day to doubt, despair, fear, sorrow and grief, I am enshrining the non-existent one. So each time I say, each time anybody says, oh, sad I am today, sad I am right now. Actually, when you say now, that now has gone. So each time one says that, what is one doing? One is enshrining the non-existent, and one is doing a constant sahasranama and smaranam of that non-existent one, Anatma. Anatma sahasranama, Anatma, Shravanam, Anatma mananam, Anatma nididhyasanam, Tat kathanam, Anatma kathanam, Tat chintanam, Anatma chintanam, Parasparam tad avabodhanam, Anatma avabodhanam. This is the extent of the hold of Anatma in the life. So much so that the last second before class, the mind is so many other situations and places. It's not with the Atma, correct? Before the Sahana Vavatu is enunciated, oh, what should we do, where to go, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow, oh, what to eat, oh, who is coming, who is going, oh, too hot, too cold, just right. This is where the mind is, Nothing wrong, but one is not aware that it is there. And then the first second after the class, okay, what to do now? This is the force of the Anatma. And to quote the Bhagavad Gita, Prasabham harati manaha. Prasabham means by force. Harati steals away the mind. What? This Anatma alone. Sanatma alone steals away the mind. And the mind whose natural desire is to be free, not by going out of the house, by being where one is, free enough, to be trapped in a small little body, in a complaining mind, and in a senses that drive one senseless. Free enough to abide in that with contentment and without second guessing. That is the freedom, and that is something natural to want, and it's the natural state of the jiva, of the person, to abide in this. But because of the presence of ignorance, and further more than the presence of ignorance, the offshoot of ignorance, the ankura. So, Bijam samsriti bhumi jasya tu tamaha. This ignorance is the seed of samsara. What is the shoot of samsara? Dehatma dhihi ankuraha. Dehatma buddhi. Meaning I am identifying with that which I am not. Why? Because I don't know what I am. Simple. So because I don't know what I am, I take the next step and become very imaginative to associate with everything that's finite, because that seems to be the logical conclusion. This is not about logic. That's the beauty of this knowledge. It's neither about logic nor about belief. It's about seeing. It's about seeing for yourself what this Atma, what this glory of oneself is all about. And so the Bhagavad Gita is a very important text in the tradition. One of the three things that are studied. And one being the Upanishads, the primary Shruti, primary text. And then the other two being Bhagavad Gita and then Brahma Sutra, both of which have been authored by Bhagavan Vyasa. Very interesting. So therefore you can see the force of Vyasa in the tradition, and we can see his beauty in the Bhagavad Gita. And where, and this is the only fix, really speaking. Atma Vijnanam, Atma Jnanam, Atma Vidya is the only thing that's an antidote to Anatma. Anatma Shravanam, Anatma Mananam, Anatma Chintanam. That's the only antidote. There is no other antidote. Yet Adi Shankara, while writing about the Bhagavad Gita, knew that this is not easy to see. And he also foresaw that this is not how the Bhagavad Gita is going to be interpreted. And if we see closely the history of how the Bhagavad Gita has been interpreted, we find that it is mostly seen as a karma shastra, as a treatise of knowledge about karma, about how to act. Because Arjuna is being chided for not acting. And tasmad yuddhaya yujyasva, uttishta, get up, atishta, get ready for war, therefore fight. Tasmad means therefore fight. And he gives a few things. Get over your ragadveshas, but right now fight. Okay, do some dhyanam, but right now you need to fight. All right, this is how you gain the Atma, but right now you need to fight. And you see, this leaves Arjuna in confusion. And that's not surprising, because Arjuna is still, he goes to Krishna because he is in confusion. But it has left all the people who have studied the Bhagavad Gita without Adi Shankara's Bhashya confused. And even in Adi Shankara's time, he was battling these two kinds of people. One who say that through karma you get moksha. How? You keep doing what is correct. And this is what a lot of people even now, it has such an abiding presence, this thinking. Even now you ask people, you ask a lay person in India or anywhere, what is the message of the Gita? What will they say? Do your duty, don't expect anything in return. Nothing about freedom, nothing about, jnanam. It's all about doing. Do your duty without expecting anything in return. Adi Shankara is very skeptical of this line of thinking. And he says, prayojanam anuddishya mandopi karmani na pravartate. Even a dull fellow will not do karma without expecting something in return. What to talk of the rational beings? He does khandanam of this. He criticizes this completely and thoroughly right from the beginning. But still, despite his incisive commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, and despite the Vedantic tradition trying to dispel all these other interpretations, these kinds of misunderstandings of the Gita still preside in the popular imagination. So we have this one particular strain of thought. Two strains common are there. There may be other minor ones, but I will only be addressing two. The first one I have mentioned is that it's all about karma. Arjuna was confused because, and this is such a static view of the Gita, Arjuna was confused because he had to kill his relatives, and he didn't want to kill his relatives. Naturally, who wants to kill their relatives? And then he went to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan said, you have to kill your relatives. Why? Because that's the right thing to do. And then because I'm telling you to kill them, I'm Bhagavan, so if you listen to me, nothing will happen to you, and you will be fine, and you will go to heaven, which is equal to what? Moksha. Yes. Hato va prapsyasi swargam. You will get swarga. Jitva va bhokshase mahim. So, if you, in either case, you are fine. Krishna says, if you are killed in battle, you will go straight to heaven. No stopping on the way. Sound barrier jet will take you. Yeah. What was that called? Concorde. Concorde will take you. We are making a new one now. So the new Concorde yet to be made is being tested out from Earth to Heaven trial flights. So you'll be put in that, and you'll just break the sound barrier and go, without even your ears going pop. You'll go there. Jitva va, or va, jitva, if you win and you're not killed, you can end up killing bhokshase. You will enjoy this earth, this kingdom. So in other words, if you do your duty, all you get is enjoyment. This is what they will quote. So just shut up and do your duty. Don't look this side, don't look that side. And in fact, this is a dangerous philosophy because it's also an oppressive philosophy. Who is telling who to do duty? Is everyone a Krishna? Is everyone Lord Krishna? Lord Krishna told Arjuna because he had the position of both Bhagavan and Guru. So here who is telling who to do the duty? The significant other is telling the insignificant other to do the duty. You have to just keep quiet, just accept the karma that comes. Even if it includes me beating you so that I can be happy. And you have to accept what comes. Do your duty without expecting anything. And no wonder, this is a dangerous philosophy. And no wonder the Westerners, when thinking about Hinduism, are confused. Hindus themselves are confused. The Westerners are even more confused. When the Westerners say that this Bhagavad Gita is a passive breeding ground of what? Passivity. Whatever happens, you say, So you're not an agent. You have to dedicate all your actions to. You have to say that I'm not an agent. Whatever comes, comes. They don't even bother about this Ishvara. You have to dedicate your actions. It doesn't matter to whom. To the universe, they will say. Usually they use the universe to substitute for Bhagavan. Another problem, but we don't have the time to go into that now. So, this is something very interesting. So, passively you have to accept. So, they say karma breeds passivity. And so, here you are not an agent. What are you? A victim of other people's omissions and commissions. And so, other people get to be agents. They get to walk roughshod over your ragadveshas. Here you are quietly sitting and managing your ragadveshas. Are other people doing the same? The answer is what? No, they are not. In fact, they are going to take advantage of you. The more you fine-tune your ragadveshas and weed all of them out and keep only a few and keep them pending and keep them pending and keep them suspended and all these things you do and eliminate them, who is the loser? You are the loser. Because look at the world, who is getting ahead? The one with the most ragadveshas are getting ahead. So really speaking, so the versions of this theory, Western or Eastern, are all about having goals and pursuing those goals with vigor and with urgency. Why? Because that's the right thing to do. But here, this theory, if it can be called that, or this philosophy, conveniently forgets the fact that who is the enforcer of either the goals or your ambitions or the fact that you are pursuing them. Who is the enforcer here? Who is enforcing the correct way of pursuing? And you cannot become another person's police. Correct?
Correct.
And here this is a problem because, if the whole thing is to do your duty, who is going to define those duties? Who is going to define those duties? Washing dishes is your duty. How? Who decided that? I decided. Why did you decide that? Because I don't want to wash the dishes. I don't like washing dishes, so therefore it becomes your duty. You see what I'm saying? So this is very dangerous. It is coming on the level, on the brink of a lot of danger because it requires a kind of a police. And in the Hindu tradition, we have encountered this too. Because we have some problem here. And what is the problem here? The problem is, how do you know what your swadharma is? This is a very rampant problem. And this is a problem because you are trying to look at swadharma in a vacuum out of context. You are not looking at swadharma in the trajectory of the whole dharma. Samanya dharma, Vishesha dharma, swadharma is a small part of the whole thing. And it's all about being flexible and being in that flexibility. Because Samanya dharma is not up for interpretation. But Vishesha dharma and swadharma are constantly being renegotiated. Correct? Depending on one's ashrama, And depending on one's goals in life, the Swadharma can change. That they conveniently forget. The Samanya Dharma, you can puddle that. Swadharma is written in stone. Crazy. So this karma theory, that the Bhagavad Gita is expounding karma, has got an abiding presence in all minds, especially the writers of the 1920s. There was a big resurgence in India, and starting with all the freedom fighters and some Swamis too. The Swamis jumped into the fray because we were going through some, that's what I mean by Swadharma. It's not the Swami's Swadharma to go fight, but that's what I mean. We were going through hard times, and the Swamis also stood on the side of justice. And there was one very interesting Karapatra Swami, and he was a Shankaracharya of some Pitha, I forgot now. And his real name was Swami Hariharananda, but he had a begging bowl in the hand. So Kara, Kare Karatale Patram Yasya Karapatraji, he was known as. And so Karapatraji, Swami Karapatraji, was such an enlightened Vedantin in so many other respects. He had studied very well. And then he wrote a book just to inspire the people to say that Gita is about the doing. He did not mean that Gita is about doing, but he just wrote something just to inspire the people. And that caught on like fire. And a lot of other freedom fighters came out saying that Gita is a treatise on karma. Lokamanya Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak. And what is this Lokamanya Tilak? This Lokamanya Tilak was a freedom fighter, a Hindu freedom fighter, who said that this is what we have to see in the Bhagavad Gita. We have to take this message. And the Gita helped. Gandhiji was also an expounder of the Gita. He used it as an oracle. If he wanted something, he would close the eyes and go like this, and then go put his hand on a verse and then do whatever it said. And again he would have to interpret it to the question he asked. So like this, during that time, whatever works came out gave an additional buttress to this whole karma theory. That really what you need in life is to be a good person, good in the sense of a dharmic person, an ethical person who strives to be in acceptance of what is. Nothing wrong. But the only thing is, it's partially correct. And half knowledge we know is dangerous. So that is one particular theory that was also very prevalent, must have been prevalent in Adi Shankara's time, because he forcefully comes out and says that this is a moksha shastra, not a karma shastra. He says it right in the beginning of the Bhashya. And the second theory were these people who did not want to offend anyone. So, ye bhi theek hai, wo bhi theek hai. Little bit of karma, little bit of jnanam. Who does it hurt? No one. On the same plate, like mint chutney, and then what is the other chutney? Tamarind chutney. So the tamarind chutney and mint chutney together, little bit of this, little bit of that. Everyone is happy. The palate is confused but happy. And there are so many flavors, so little time, we just accommodate everybody and everything. And we give the knowledge we give the Bhagavad Gita a big hug. And the proponents and the exponents of the Gita, the ones who are springing up on every roadside, we give them all a big hug and accommodate everyone. The fellow who says it's all about karma and who's upset and sitting in a corner, and the fellow who says it's all about knowledge and knowledge alone liberates. Why don't you all get along? Why just sitting in two corners like this, fighting from generations? We will make you get along. Come on, say sorry to each other, shake hands, and then we'll give birth to a new philosophy called, what is it called? Jnana. Say it. Jnana, karma, samuchaya. Samuchaya means one touch of tamarind chutney, one touch of green chutney. And then everybody lives happily ever after. And the proponents of this theory are very clever because they come from a very friendly place, because they say that, look, why are we arguing over this? What is this? We don't see any problem. Of course we need jnana. Nobody says we don't need jnana, we need jnana. Tattvamasi. What happened? Nothing happened, unfortunately. See, that's why we are telling you that the Tattvamasi is jnanam, all right. It is what we call, don't take this seriously, okay, this is Purva Paksha. It is what we call theoretical knowledge. And like coffee, it has to percolate, like a South Indian coffee filter. You press Tattvamasi into the top filter, you put hot water of Shravanam over it, and then what? Then you cannot expect instant coffee. You have to wait till it decants and percolates down. Drip, 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 drip. Tat, 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 tvam, tat, tvam, tat, tvam, tat. And one fine day, after all this effort, this striving and the knowledge coming together in one happy family reunion, what happens? Asi takes place. This is not about Asi, this is about Hasi. You have to laugh at it. You have to laugh at it. Because the whole thing about knowledge is that it is just showing what the object is. Like, what do you see? What is this now? Kim tat? Kim etat? Rose, flower. Very fragrant, nice flower. Right? Okay. So the flower, knowledge now you have. So now you have to go back to your rooms and gain flower experience. You have to experience the flower after knowing the flower. No. Why? You know the flower, and the knowledge is the experience. In knowing the flower, you are experiencing the flower. And here, the flower is just as what it is. So if I say this is flower, and let's say you are from Mars and you've never seen the flower, you came down, you hitched a ride on Curiosity rover, and and then you came down to Earth, or went up to Earth, I don't know how it would be, from via Mars. You travelled and you don't know what this is. You had heard that there was such a thing called flower on Earth. Mars, you got sick of red dust everywhere. And here's some other color, and you had heard about it, That could be like indirectly. You can say it's indirect knowledge. And then now you know this directly. But what about Atma? Is it direct or indirect? You had heard about Atma, and you want to now know it directly. Where is Atma? You are Atma. You don't hear about you. You is a constant feature of experience. In fact, you star in your own life. That's how it is. You are the star of your life. You are the star witness, the prize witness of everything that happens to this body and the mind, from waking, dreaming to sleeping in class. You are the witness of all that. And then what do you need? You don't need another experience of the I, which is constantly being experienced. And you can't have another experience of the I other than what you're having, because the I is something that is constantly experienced. So if the knowledge is not, the flower is at least little remote. You can say, I'm experiencing the flower, but I want to smell it, I want to touch the petals and see how Ishvara looks like in this color and form. You have to say all that with the flower because it is away from you. But are you away from you? Well, some days it feels like that. Some days I don't know where I am. How do you know that I'm disconnected? If you say I'm dissociating, how do you know? Because you are not dissociating. If you say I'm far away, I'm having an out of body, la la land experience, how do you know that you're not in your body? The observer who is saying is very much the observer who is in the body, who says there is some disconnection happening. The one who is connected says that there is no connection, as though. The one who is happy says there is sadness, as though. The one who is calm, who is shanta, says there is anger, as though. The one who is never hungry says when is meal time, as though. That Purna says there is a sense of lack, as though. So really speaking, when are you not, experiencing the Atma? Oh, in sleep. In sleep also you are experiencing. Why? Because the next day you say, I don't remember snoring. You were snoring. No, I was not snoring. No, you were snoring. Well, I don't remember snoring. When you say, I don't know I was snoring, that means what? That I know that I don't know is the constant. And that constantly experienced Atma cannot be a subject of a special experience after Atma Jnana. You see? So therefore, when I say this is rose, you will see the color, you will see it as it is, you will not see it as it is not. You will not say, oh, blue rose. No, it's not blue, it's yellow, it's very evident. So the knowledge is that which doesn't distort, that which is a constant source of experience. The I being what we call self-revealing, self-effulgent, advertising, the light of all lights, that awareness which is constant, to which everything becomes an object, itself always the subject. That I alone is the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita. And that I, once its nature is revealed. The problem is that it's not that I don't know the I. I know I am. But don't ask the next question. What is the next question? Who am I? Don't ask. Because the answer that comes is you are an idiot. Yeah. Donkey. Why? Because somebody called me donkey when I was small. Monkey. You monkey. And so, and the parents are not careful. They need an outlet. And the child becomes a favored outlet. Yeah. And in South India, this is very shocking. I went to somebody's house. They said, Prarabdha, come here. Ayyo, Prarabdha. If the child does something bad, bad from the point of the adult. Poor thing, what will it do? It just broke something. That's all, It broke something expensive. And and somewhere they had got some, I don't know what do you call this? That flower vase. Vase. So this flower vase was there. It had some real gold painted on it, supposedly from Italy, very costly, $300 or something. And it jumped practically on that table where the vase was kept, and then it shook, and then it jumped again, bringing the vase down, and was looking very fascinated. Oh, I did that? Oh, the child is 2, 3 per maximum. And it's looking very fascinated. Ayyo, karma, the mother said. Ayyo, prarabdha. You are my prarabdha. You are the embodiment of my prarabdha. In other words, you were only born because I had bad karma. So when somebody is called prarabdha, they are not saying you are good karma. You are bad news. So you are actually my bad karma. That's why you have caused such a loss. Barely 2 years after you came to this world. You are trying my patience. You karmic residue of mine. So these are the messages that this average fellow has grown up with. Are you there? Yes, that answer is easy. Who are you? Prarabdha. Wherever I go, I activate other people's prarabdha. I am just exhausted. Why are you exhausted? Because I keep exhausting other people's prarabdha. I keep exhausting other people's karma. I don't have any good things. See, this becomes a complex. Yeah. And then Mandu means dull. And Mandu also means stubborn. So this is the common way, a pet name, Gundu, Mandu, Gundu means fat. So this is South Indian, and I'm sure that there are such choice epithets in North India too. So this baby, the inner child I'm talking of, that's why I'm putting it in apostrophes. The inner child is still very, has not forgotten these epithets and has come to internalize them because of the Atma Ajnanam, because not knowing what it is. What does it do? It keeps internalizing this. Gundu, Mandu, Chandu, you keep calling this, and there is a lot of complexes centered on the I. Same thing doesn't happen to the dog. You call the dog Gundu, it will come for an extra meal without any complexes. It will not say, I think I should go on a diet. It will not say that. It will not say that at all. So therefore what? So therefore, this whole knowledge, the way it proceeds, is that it tells you who you are. And really speaking, there is nothing more to do. Because I am someone's prarabdha, I am my mother's and father's prarabdha, is erased when the truth of the self is revealed as you are Brahman. Neither do you have prarabdha, nor are you somebody else's prarabdha. There is no karma, and you are not it. So this is understood, and this does not need anything more to do. Why? Because it's you. The self-revealing I understands this. But that inner child is sitting there, correct? Yeah. And that inner child, which feels that its only claim to fame is complaining. And only when you complain, you listen to me. Only when I complain. And then this means that I have to integrate with the adult. Yes. That means I will not be there. No, you will be part of the adult. You are the adult. There's only one. Well, that means I'm not going to be there. It has convinced. And so it stages a dharana, not in the yoga sense, but in a protest, a sit-in, a stay-in. And it says, I'm not leaving, And so the proponents of the Jnana Karma Samuchaya perhaps saw that appears to be that this knowledge is not quite enough to disband these notions of incompleteness. So therefore, you need to do something after the knowledge. You need to do upasana, you need to do meditation, you need to first have the theory and then sit and cook the theory. First you have to buy the ingredients, like for chole, you have to buy the garbanzo beans, you have to buy the tomato sauce, you have to mix them together, and you have to keep tasting, Yeah. And you have to do all these things. And then, after that only, it should be, heated up, and then it can be assimilated, correct? So this knowledge also, before it is assimilated, you have to do certain things, has come from this taking the non-existent one and enshrining it to be the existent one. This is how we began the talk. These are the repercussions of taking mithya as satyam. When mithya is satyam, when the shadow becomes real, you start making two cups of tea. One for you, one for the shadow. You start offering the shadow a chair. Then you'll offer to do its hair. Then you'll offer to, say, oh, what do you need? Oh, you are a wet rag. Yes, so am I. And you'll get affected by it. And you will just think it is real. Then no longer it is, unreal. It is real. And so first you will take it seriously. Then you will say, you're not taking my shadow seriously. You need to take my shadow seriously and appease my shadow. This is what marriage becomes all about. Each partner appeasing the other one's shadow. A very shady prospect. And so therefore what? So therefore, and then that same thing, making the shadow into a reality, leads to this kind of nonsensical theories called Jnana Karma Samuchaya. This is what it is. And Adi Shankara is so incisive, so precise, like a surgeon wielding the scalpel, removes out this tumor. Right in the Upodghata Bhashya, in the introductory Bhashya, he excises this tumor called Jnana Karma Samuchaya, and he excises another tumor called, it's all about that the message of the Bhagavad Gita is karma. Both these, he just makes short shrift of this. And then he says, right at the beginning, this is a treatise of liberation. And this is enough. This is enough to liberate. You don't need to do anything after this. You don't need to go somewhere after this. You don't need to let this cook. And you don't need to sit on a stove after this, because you have to let the knowledge cook and percolate. You don't need to do anything. This is enough. No, but what about the resistance? What about the inner child you just talked about? What about the inner prarabdha that is sitting there and feeling bad for itself? All that you have to do before, not after. Atmava are drashtavyah darshanartham shrotavyah. And when I come to the listening situation, the ears have to be cleaned out, simple, otherwise listening will not take place. So I have to put a solution of Shraddha, little drop. You can buy it at the corner store. And Shraddha drops. And then open the ears out so that I'm open to this knowledge. That you should do after the class or before the class? Before. And what about Amayanta Brahmacharina Swaha? Then Vimayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. Then Shamayantu. Yeah, Shamayantu. What is Shamayantu? May they have Shama. So when? Before the class or after the class? No, after the class I'll practice on Shama. No, you have to come before the class. Because during the class, if there is no Shama, then you will not be able to sit. You will feel like running away or throwing something at the teacher. So that's what you'll feel like if there is no Shama. And what is after? Then Damayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. Actually, first Dama comes. First you stop wanting to throw things at the teacher, and then the mind is calm enough to listen, and the Shraddha drops have opened the ears up, and the Titiksha stops one from, what is that? Saying too hot, too cold, uncomfortable, this, that. And then Uparati, letting go of other things to really gain this knowledge. Letting go of all nonsensical things, including, vyadhis of the body and the mind. Once I asked, why didn't you come to class? A few years back, somebody I asked. I didn't feel like it. Arey? The whole thing, the whole Shastra is so that you can override these feelings. I didn't feel like it. You summarize now and tell. As though I have no other work. I don't feel like coming to class. I didn't feel like it. Today, should I go to class or not? If you ask the non-existent shadow, what will it say? Don't go to class. Be with me. Give me a hug. I'm bruised. And I'm just all roughed up. Because somebody, hit the ahankara blindsided. And then I'm all just fragile. This is a Western term. This I learnt after coming to this country. Fragile. How are you feeling? Fragile. Like a bone china, cup. I'm very fragile. Therefore what? No Vedanta. And this is how, when one needs the knowledge the most, one turns the face away. The saddest thing in the world. It's very sad. And this is the costs of enshrining the non-existent as existent. This is what happens. And so therefore what? So the Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam, is something that has to be acquired before coming to the class. Before coming to the class means before committing to this knowledge. But then what happens? This was, this is something iterated again and again in the Upanishads. Shanto, Danto, Titikshuhu, Bhutva, Pravrajet in one place. Yajnena, Danena, Tapasa, in other place. Vividishanti brahmanaha. So vividishanti means veditum icchanti. Veditum icchanti means vividishanti. What does veditum icchanti mean? Huh? Desire to know, vividisha, like mumuksha, jignasa. So jignasanti, same thing. Vividishanti. So they desire to know. How? Yajnena, by doing yajna, means by leading a life of karma, which fruitions into asking the correct questions, which gives a certain emotional maturity and a cognitive ability. And then danena, by giving away things that, by not having a kind of a clutching attitude, where the claws and the paws are open, to giving. And only when you're open to giving, you become open to receiving this knowledge, really. It's all about giving. And then tapasa, through certain physical austerities, getting to a place of becoming comfortable while uncomfortable. This is where one matures to know. These are all the statements that keep coming in the Upanishad. But more frequently, however, the reality is that what happens is that we have that as a model, as an ideal, just like we have ideal type students, like Shvetaketu, after 9 classes he said enough, that's all. 9 times he said, Bhuya eva vijñapayetu bhavan, please tell me this again, I'm loving this, one more class, please, one more class. And after 9 classes he said, Bhavatu eva, enough, I'm done. Got up and left. So we have those ideal students like Satyakama, who said, I know everything. And this was before meeting the teacher, he almost knew everything. And so like this we have the ideal students. And then, but those are ideal type students. Then what are derided is the non-ideal type students. So the ideal type student in Sanskrit is called Uttama, what? Adhikari. Nice try. But Adhikari. Uttama Adhikari. And then the kinds of people who are derided, who keep going around in samsara like a satellite, keep revolving around samsara, is called Adhama, means lowly, Adhikari. So these both are ideal types, they just make up the continuum. In reality, the people are just scattered around this continuum. So nobody, very few people may come here and hardly anybody is over here, Because if you're an Adhama, if one is an Adhama Adhikari, then they won't come to class, simple. If you come to class, you're not an Adhama Adhikari. So therefore, this middle range is called Madhyama Adhikari. So that's why frequently Adi Shankara will start Manda Madhyama Adhikari Nam. For the Mandas and the Madhyamas, this is being talked about. So frequently what happens is that for the Madhyama Adhikari, which most of the world comes under, the gaining of the qualifications is happening side by side with the classes and with the elucidation of the knowledge. In fact, the more you know, the more you want to be in a place of wanting to know. So the more you know, you have the incentive to develop all those other muscles, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam. And so each, and the more you develop those muscles, the greater the clarity is. But really speaking, we cannot wrongly ascribe the lack of clarity to needing some work to be done after the knowledge has been imparted. The knowledge is pramana. Just like the eyes, if they are open, what will they do? They will see the rose. If it is existent and if the eyes are open, they will see the rose. Eyes will see the rose. They meaning eyes. Eyes will see the rose. And the eyes will not see them as distorted. If they are working properly, the pramana called the eyes will say this is a yellow colored flower called rose. Simple. So too the knowledge is being shown that which is existent, which is incapable of being distorted, and which I already sense in a certain way, knowing which I am free. So this is what we mean by Moksha Shastra, and this Moksha Shastra blesses us in many ways, and the study of it is enough to gain moksha. That is what it is. So we'll have a nice, um, we'll continue with this introduction. Next time I will summarize what Adi Shankara, I've already summarized some of it, and I will take a few other strands that I was not able to cover today and bring that, and then we will see the Dhyana shlokas and continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.